So Amy, if you'll start the recording, we'll get the lady with all the farm animals involved here. Honestly, I never know what is going to be Alicia's background because she has a lot of backgrounds. So, welcome. This is Monday night training for Through the Eyes of Authors. For those of you that are live, we have with us Alicia Richardson, and I'm gonna try to remember what her other name is. So, AKA uh, Artemis Greenleaf. Is that it?
That's one. Yeah, that's one.
Oh, that's one. Okay. So when I get an email from Artemis Greenleaf, I do know that it's coming from Alicia. I didn't always know that. And Alicia and I are both on the board for the Houston Writers Guild, and she was on before I was, and I've been on like 5 years, I think. So how long have you been on the board, Alicia?
Well, I think you were there before me because Fern brought me in. It was before, right before the 2017 Indy. I think it may have been 2016 Indy. One of the two.
Okay.
Maybe it was 2016.
I thought you were at the very first one I ever went to, because we were meeting at that La Madeline, the cave room.
Yeah.
And the first night I was there was when some of the people who were resigning were bringing all their paperwork and stuff in and giving it to Fern. That was my first impression of the board, and I went on because of Fern also. Fern Brady, as most of you know her, because she speaks quite regularly on Monday nights to us, and she's taking my role on Monday mornings author talk right now. So Fern is a huge, huge influencer in the city of Houston as far as authors and writing. And she's right now heading up Nano Group. So, and she's got a publishing company, Wings Publishing, lots of stuff we could say about Fern. She's like a really, really hero for a lot of people. And she's also doing some editing for me for some people that have come to me to help with their book, which all they had was the beginning manuscript. So I immediately contacted Fern, and so lots of good stuff. So I'm not going to go through all the announcements tonight like I normally start with because I want Alicia to have plenty of room, plenty of time to say she's got all the room she wants. She's at her house, so I want her to have plenty of time, and I want you to have plenty of time for questions. Here's the deal: read the email that Amy sent a few minutes ago because it has all the announcements of all the upcoming events and everything. So read that, mark your calendars, and then stay tuned because we've got lots of good stuff going on, especially from now till the end of the year. So if you were not on last for the mastermind, then be there this Friday because we are talking about what we're going to be doing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Small Business Saturday, a lot of stuff. Again, I'm not going to make the announcement. Here comes David Shine. And I will just quickly say that we have a special event with David on Saturday, Small Business Saturday. And it will be for small businesses in Houston, a webinar. So I'll tell you more about that later. I want to give, again, go back to giving Alicia plenty of time. I heard Alicia do this presentation a few weeks ago on our Indie Palooza. And as with several members of the Houston Writers Group, I have been so impressed with Alicia and all the work she's done and all the books she's written, all the series she's done. And then when she said that now does her own audiobooks and she's already completed a series of children's book on audio, which I believe you said got picked up by a library in Australia. Is that right, Alicia?
Yes.
So Alicia's going to tell you some of the possibilities that you can have. And so Alicia Richardson, absolutely author extraordinaire. And every time one of the main things I think of when I think of your books, Alicia, is I know you have the series of horse books. And one of my favorite series of all times for reading was the Black Stallion series.
Oh, I love Walter Farley. I read all of his books.
I know. When I had never read them, I moved to a new school in the seventh grade, new town, new everything, and so the person that was asked to show me around says, "What is one of the things you love to do?" And I said, "I love to read." And so she says, "Well, let me show you my favorite series of books." And she showed me the Black Stallion, and I read everything I could get my hands on about the Black Stallion and by that author. And so yes, and now I'm watching a series on television called Heartland, which is all about a horse ranch in Canada. So I love reading about horses. So Alicia, I'm going to turn it over to you. Anything else you want to say about you and what you do? Go ahead, and then whenever you're ready to start the presentation, you can just share the screen.
All righty. Let's see. I'm going to share screen one. I'm going to share. Okay. All right. Let me go from the beginning. I should have done current slide. All right. Do you see how do I audiobook?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So that's what I'm going to talk about is audiobooks for indies. Well, it's not that you don't have to be an indie. You can be traditionally published. It will work just as well too. All right. So a little bit about me. As Sandy mentioned, I am on the Houston Writers Guild board. I'm the CFO. I'm also the membership director for the Houston Sisters in Crime chapter. I have my own publishing imprint. It's called Black Mare Books. My website is a long drawn out story, but it's kind of a hot mess right now, but I'm working on upgrading my website. So don't be too scared if you go there. I write pretty much everything except for literary fiction and erotica. One of my little picture books that I wrote about the Houston Police Department has a deaf patrol horse named Smash, and there's a group of special needs girls who sponsor him, so they raise money every year. So I wrote a book about that, and we actually won an award in the Equus Film Festival for Best Children's Nonfiction. And I am a native Houstonian. I lived in Los Angeles for about 4 years, but I was born and raised here. I got 2 teenagers, and I did in fact marry an alien. So what defines an audiobook? What makes it different from a podcast or anything else? For an audiobook, you can't have sound effects or music. It has to be a human voice. There's a lot of really good synthetic voices out right now. So if you want to do your book as a podcast on your own that you host and everything, you could probably do that with some of these great synthetic voices. But for your audiobook, it must be a human voice. And there are a few that have a full cast, but mostly it's just a single reader that's reading the book, and they may be acting out some characters or just doing some reading. And Audible is probably the best known in the US. Just about everybody's heard of Audible. I mean, you can't go to Amazon without getting bombarded with ads to sign up for Audible. Now, why audiobooks? Well, there's an exploding market right now. It was in 2019, it rose 16% to 2.4 billion. Deloitte predicts that this year, by the end of this year, it'll be 3.5 billion. And by 2027, the global audiobook market is expected to be 13.5 billion.
Wow.
So that's, if you get in and get your audiobooks, you're on the elevator.
Alicia, can I interrupt you one quick question to ask? What effect has the pandemic had on audiobooks? Do you know? Has it made it go higher faster, or?
Yeah, that actually is one of my points. Reading habits have changed because these days a lot of people don't have time to just sit and read a book. So if you listen, if you're commuting, you can listen to an audiobook. If you're doing your housework, folding the laundry or whatever, you can listen to a book. And my car actually has Alexa. I don't want to start her chattering at me built in. So I can just ask her to read my book and it syncs up with my Kindle and everything. And if I have the Audible version of it, she'll play that. Otherwise, she uses text to speech and reads it out to me. But during lockdowns, people are reading more and they're choosing digital formats over print, and they're choosing the audiobooks over the ebooks. So audio is actually selling ebooks, outselling ebooks at this time. And so another reason that you might want to have an audiobook is there's approximately 470,000 titles on Audible, and there's at least 3.4 million Kindle books. Now, some sources say it could be as much as 16 million Kindle books, but the best estimate that Amazon's letting on is 3.4 million Kindle books. So if you're trying to get your book discovered, do you want to be in a pool with 470,000 or 3.4 million? Just is better for your visibility. And don't dictate to your audience how they have to consume your content. Give them as many options and let them choose the format that they like best. Because you can have your one book, that's one asset, but if you have print and you have ebook and you have audio, that's basically 3 different markets that you're in. So that's 3 different income streams for your one single asset that you have. So what are the pros and cons of audiobooks? First of all, it's no cost to distribute. So you can take your audio files and you can upload them to ACX or Findaway Voices for free. It costs you nothing. Both platforms are pretty popular, and it's really easy to associate your audio books with your print or ebooks. You just take the ISBN that you've used for that print book or ebook, whichever one, and you give it to, you load it in. There's a little line on the form when you're uploading your books, and it'll automatically link those. And you also get a lot of marketing tools. There's giveaway codes, so you can, give free books to people so they'll give you reviews. There's ACX has a bounty program, and they also give you a lot of promotional tools. And then, it's just like if you're in Amazon, it's just like any other, if you look at a book, it has the also bots, which helps people find your work. But like anything else, there is a shadow side. So the cons of audiobooks is they can be expensive to produce. They can be time consuming regardless of who records the book. And distributors, if a lot of people are uploading books, they may get backlogged, and it could take a month for your book to be accepted. So if you're planning a big launch and you've got everything ready and you got ACX and it's like still pending, that might cause you a little bit of heartburn, but it's not usually a huge issue. So tell me more. How do I get started? Well, it's a pretty simple process. You record the book, you edit and process the audio, you upload it to a distributor. And that, however you get your book produced, that is what happens. So what is the easiest way to get this done? The easiest way is to hire a producer. So you provide a script, then Voice Talent that are looking for new projects will see your script and they say, oh, I want to audition for this project. So they'll read it and edit it and put it and upload it to the audition bin. And then when that time frame is up, you'll listen to the auditions and you'll pick a narrator or not, and you'll start another one and ask for more auditions. And then they will narrate all the files. They'll do all of the editing and post-processing. Then you listen to them and you approve them or not. If they're not the quality that you want, then you have to start over. But usually they're going to be good. And now you can expect to pay between $200 and $400 per finished hour. So, and a 75,000 word book is going to be about 8 hours long. So that's going to be $1,600 to $3,200 in total. And the Screen Actors Guild, so if this voice talent person is with the Screen Actors Guild, their minimum rate is $250 per finished hour. And you might find somebody who's trying to build a portfolio that's willing to take a lower rate. So, I mean, you might be able to get it for somewhat cheaper. I know, who was it, Sandy, the lady that you had that just released her audiobook? I think that she was able to get somebody.
Julie, and Julie's on now. We launched her book this weekend, actually, or last Friday. So yes, she made someone an offer and they accepted it.
Excellent. So what if $200 per finished hour is not in your budget? Don't worry, you have options. You might be able to offer less money up front like Julie did, and maybe you can have less money but add royalty payments that will make it more attractive. You can split the royalties 50-50 with the producer. Typically, only people that are just starting out are going to take this option, because if the book doesn't sell, they've spent all this time recording and editing and they won't get any money. So if someone is well established and they're making money, they're going to want to get paid up front. Now, just because someone is new doesn't necessarily mean they aren't good. They might be fantastic. They just don't have a portfolio. So don't be too scared. Or you can record it yourself. And if you record it yourself, you get to keep all the royalties. The equipment cost is pretty minimal, and there are free software options, and you get to control the recording schedule and the quality. So if that sounds scary, don't worry, there's lots of resources that are going to help you out. So the first one is Joanna Penn. Now, if you're not following Joanna Penn, you need to start right now, because she's primarily focused on indie authors, but most of the marketing tips and stuff that she has is applicable to any author. So anybody can get value from her podcast. She releases episodes every Monday, and she's got, in addition to writing supernatural suspense thrillers, she also has tons of nonfiction. This Audio for Authors is, I think, her latest nonfiction book, and it's really good. I'd recommend it. And of course, she's got tons and tons of information on her website as well. Now, this book is one of the ones that was recommended in Joanna's book. And he's got a lot of great tips and ideas about finding your recording voice, about the equipment, software, marketing. And he really gets into the weeds. When he talks about software, he will tell you how to do all these different presets and how to, change the equalizer settings and all this kind of stuff. And so he really delves into detail. Now, he does use Adobe Audition. So if you're using a different software, then that section of the book may not be applicable to you. But the rest of the stuff is still pretty good, and you can still, and I think the book is like $3 or $4. I don't think it's more than $5. So I'd recommend that one if you're looking into audio. You might be thinking, what if my voice is terrible and no one wants to listen to me? Udemy has some great resources for you. I took a class from Peter Baker. It's called 30 Days to a More Confident and Powerful Voice. Another one I did was Roma Waterman, Improve Your Speaking Voice to Teach Online or Podcast. And you don't have to belong to the Royal Shakespeare Society, but it is true that not many listeners want to hear a monotone robot voice. So you do need to learn how to read with some emotion. But if you read it out loud the way it sounds in your head, you should be fine. And there's another guy that's got some great content, Paul Jenkins. And his content is excellent. His presentation is a little bit dry, but he's got some great stuff. And then there's another one, How to Master Audible Work from Home by Bailey Varnes. And she goes step by step with showing you how to find the auditions and how to download the scripts and edit the files, and then how to upload it. And then once you get the job, what you need to do. So that one is a really good screen by screen lesson.
Is that,
And
Alicia, is that on Udemy or is that a book?
it's on Udemy.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And Wait for Sales, I think they actually have one going on right now, but their full price courses can be expensive, but they run sales all the time. I mean, a minimum once a month they run sales, and you can get courses for 10 or $12. So they do have some affordable options when they go on sale. Another great resource is ACX University. It's free, and they tell you kind of anything you need to know about doing audiobooks. They've got voice acting techniques, they have marketing tips, they have recording tips, and it's all free because they want to give you these resources so that you will sell lots of audiobooks, because when you sell audiobooks, they make money. So it's in their interest to give you as many tools as they can to help you succeed. You don't need a $10,000 Brown mic, but the built-in computer mic or headset mic is not going to be good enough. And also consider that your specific voice may sound better on one microphone versus another. So if you know people that have microphones, you might see if they'll let you test and see which one sounds better. But the most recommended one is probably the Audio Technica 2100 series, and it costs about $100 on Amazon. It's a directional mic. I have one of those. The one I'm using right now is a Blue Yeti, and it's a condenser mic. It looks kind of like a giant bullet. And they have different levels of mic, but you can get it for about 100 to 250 on Amazon. And depending on your recording space, if you don't have an enclosed area, the directional mic might be better for you because they cut down a lot of sounds. Like if I'm using my Audio Technica, if my chair squeaks, you don't hear it. But if I'm using the Yeti and I breathe and my chair squeaks, you hear it, and I have to try and edit that out, and that's always fun. Also, make sure that whatever microphone you get has the USB connection, because if you only have the microphone cable, that's designed to go into an amplifier, and you can't plug that into your computer. So make sure it's got a USB option. Another thing you might want to consider is the pop filter. And that basically it's like a kind of mesh screen, because when you say words like, that start with P or T or D, with those hard consonants, you get a little puff of air, and that mesh kind of helps spread it out so that plosive isn't so annoying to the listener. And it also keeps you from spitting all over your microphone as well. So where do you record? You can get a prefab sound booth on Amazon for around $4,000, and they're great. But at least that's what I've heard. But if that's not in your budget, you have other options. You can do a makeshift sound booth. So if you've got one of those like 8-foot or 9-foot market umbrellas out on your patio, bring that inside so you're not sweating in the heat and being eaten by mosquitoes, and just put like a blanket or a quilt on the top of it, so it's like a big Southern Belle skirt and sit under that. And Peter Jenkins also recommends, if you have clothes racks, you can hang blankets on those and surround yourself. And I have a little kind of frame that stands up behind me, and I put a big old quilt on top of that. And then of course I have my super fancy $12 green tablecloth that I got from Amazon is my green screen on top of that. So I just move it in close behind me whenever I'm doing any recording. And another great place that you can record is your closet, and that's free. And because pretty much everybody's got a closet. So remember that sound bounces off of hard surfaces and it's absorbed by soft surfaces. So you've got all these lovely soft clothes in your closet that will